So at the very least, we have medium-sized trade news today, as Matt Ryan has been traded from the Atlanta Falcons to the Indianapolis Colts for a third-round pick. It is noteworthy that Matt Ryan is past his prime. The 46.1 QBR is not particularly great. I think it's more likely to expect you're getting something like the 2013, 2019, 2020, 2021 Matt Ryan. And yeah, the QBR was horrible, but if you look at the passer rating, and don't be a stat checker to determine whether a quarterback's good or not. Now, when you look at the Colts, it's a little bit of a different situation. There is one of the best centers in the league. You have Braden Smith, who's a very solid right tackle. Now, the receiving core doesn't look great, and that's putting it politely. They got Michael Pittman Jr. I like Paris Campbell too, but unfortunately, it just hasn't been something you've been able to count on. So we've never really been able to see him develop as a speed deep threat. And then you have a quarterback that's going to be able to get him the ball. And the big difference between a guy like Carson Wentz from a year ago versus Matt Ryan, and again, no disrespect intended, but this is going to sound pretty mean, but you have now a modicum of intelligence at the position, and you have someone that's going to be able to take the open receiver and know the construct of the play and where to go with the football based on the coverage from pre-snap reads, which unfortunately is just not really something that Carson Wentz really had in his bag of tricks. He's not going to be an Indianapolis Colt quarterback for the next several years. It's probably just going to be this year or the next year, but he is better. If we look at the Colts picks, they're trading a third rounder. Now, whether that's their original third or the one acquired from the Washington Commanders, I got to say Commanders as much as possible to get that in my head, to get some type of a weapon at the position. We've seen good receivers go at the top of the third round. T. Higgins, most recently, Michael Pittman Jr. as well. But if you can get a George Pickens, who I'm extremely high on, if he ends up going outside the first round, Pickens is in play. Sky Moore, I think, would be a good fit in Indianapolis if, somebody falls out of the first round that team really wants to jump on. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but maybe it's Treylon Burks. Second rounder and one of these third rounders, whether it's 73 or 82, doesn't really matter a whole lot right now, although that could still be a fourth, fifth as well. So the Colts are going to have their options, but you do have to try and improve that offensive line at least a little bit, because left tackle is a problem, and now losing your starting right guard in Mark Lewinsky, who's a good player, is a problem. And generally speaking, and you guys can correct me if you disagree, now I can't say for certain, but I would say there's a pretty decent chance. I just think that'd be a difficult thing for anybody to do. And yeah, I can't keep a straight face through that. Sean Coleman is someone that has starting experience. Matt Pryor to right guard. Will Freese could get starting consideration, but it's certainly a position group you want to draft without question. Without question. Freese is pretty young, no? I want to say Freese was a draft pick, last year. 7th rounder, but I would take no draft pick from an offensive lineman into great consideration, because particularly on the offensive line, late round, and even undrafted players often become very reliable starters with offensive line. But that's a conversation for a different day. But I don't really want to hold you guys up too long here. Yeah, I think it goes without saying that they're in a tank mode. I'm not going to try and say this is going to be formidable at all. You brought back Jake Matthews. That's fine. Kyle Pitts can be a real great talent for you, but Calvin Ridley's not going to play, out for the year, suspended. Listen, I think he's a good receiver 4. This is not someone you want as your receiver 1, looking at Cordero Patterson. He's probably your best offensive weapon. The fact that he had 1 touchdown is crazy, because this guy is a bona fide red zone threat. So that's a reason that the touchdown number is lower. Like, Jake Matthews and Chris Lindstrom are really the only 2 good ones at this point. Jalen Mayfield's not there yet. Matt Hennessy or Drew Dahlman, not there yet. You're bringing Casey Hayward. The safeties, I like Richie Grant, still only going into his second year. Jalen Hawkins, still young, still not amazing. Like Marlon Davidson, it's just not a great group overall. And this is a Falcons team that I think is really going to struggle to win more than 6 games. And I think that's a reasonable expectation for them. I'm sure new things could be happening as well, but it seems like, yes, Matt Ryan to the Colts. And this was something that was brought up as well. Let me know what you think down in the comment section below, and I will see you in the next one.